testing. Right. Okay, testing. We're all good. Go over this way a little more. Finding the right perspective. That'll do. Okay. All right. Waiting. Let's hurry up and wait for the first minute. All right. Oh, there's Mike. Mike, how you doing? It's good to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, good. Is the guitar coming through okay? Great. That's going. I figured out the interface. So that's good. All right. Fantastic. Yeah, we're just gonna chill out and exactly. Thank God the guitar sounds okay. Yeah, we'll get started. Yeah. Good stuff. All right. You can just had to use a different camera so you get a bird's eye view of our room. It's very small, but it's cozy. All right. It is really small. It is cozy. It's very cozy. So we're in the south of England. We're in Brighton, so that's where it's called Brighton and Hove. So that's where we are. The ocean, the English Channel is right there. Stefan, what's up, my man? I got Mike. I got Stefan. Killer. I was just talking about the location. The English Channel is right down the street. So, and it's beautiful. Chris Gordon, nice. Stefan, you got to do the Mike Stern talk the whole time. you have to use his lingo the whole time. Yeah, nice. Good to see you, Chris. Excellent. I was telling everybody the next one we do will you and I'll do it together. We'll figure it out. Yeah. That's good. All right. Okay, yes. This actually the camera is not bad. I have to figure out the vantage point. I'm afraid to move the location of this thing. Let me just to give it better vantage point, maybe. Let me just move it a little bit. Just to get a little more of the guitar neck. Well, it's probably all right. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, I can move it remotely, but it is what it is. All right. All right, guitar chords. Guitar chords away. It's funny because the original impetus behind all this was I was just talking with with my wife this morning about Tom Giacobetti, and he's the guy I studied with when I was at Temple University. And I remember he started he started telling me to do chord melody arrangements. I had a weekly lesson with him, and he started telling me to do chord melody arrangements only with this kind of wacky groups of strings. I think he was curious about that. I think he wanted to see if what I would do with it, and I don't know. I think sometimes he was just doing stuff to kind of pull my chain a little bit, and just give me these weird string groups to do chords on, and really hard to play. Like for instance, even just it's one of the string groups is this 1 2 4 6. I did that. That's already up, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But I remember he wanted me to do, I don't know, some whatever it was. But I remember thinking like, oh, that's kind of sounds good. But it's some of them were really awkward. And I remember the top four strings and then just excuse me, the top three strings and then the bass note. And I'm like, those are hard to play. It's like, that's okay. And then this one's really tough, to try to do. And I'm like, oh, this thing is impossible. That's really tough. This thing, it's essentially just taking these top ones and putting it out an octave. I'm like, this is really difficult, and I don't know. I think at one point it just kind of went. I think I was doing this one, this thing. And it's tough to play B, C, E, and G. And I think I just kind of made a mistake and like got rid of the E and put a D on there. I'm like, actually, that sounds better than this. I was like, that sounds cool. Actually, that's cool. And then just move the bass note. I'm like, that sounds cool too. And I think the revelation, I don't know about everybody here, but the revelation was like, obviously you don't need the root third, fifth, and seventh is just really confining. It's a great sound, but it's like one chord, And I was writing all this music, and I'm like, I don't like, that kind of sound isn't really what I'm looking for. And when you try to do the string families with like the regular chords, it can be really difficult. So it's just coming out of that. And then, basically there's 15 combinations. Now in the chord book so far, what I've done is I think I've put up 5. So I think there's like 5 there so far. The top four strings. So just these top 4 things. So chords on 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there are 2 families that have like a split. Oh, hey man, what's going on? Look who it is. Good to see you. Guitar song is on. Nice. I love it. So I think I did the top 4. And then there's 2 groups that are kind of the same. They're 50 sounding. And that's 1, 2, 4, and 5. So it's take 2 strings, skip 1, and then 2 more adjacent ones. And then its partner, I guess you would say, is this. This is 1, 2, 4, and 5, and this is 2, 3, 5, and 6. They're kind of the same. It's really the same. And it's in Scriabin. I think that's where I really ripped it off. I think I was doing some Scriabin etudes, and I'm like, oh, I like this. I love those sounds, and it's the Scriabin. There's fourths in the bottom, or augmented fourths or whatever, and there's like fifths up top, and I'm like, oh, that sounds great. And I think or fourths and fifths, you know what I mean? And those chord families are great for that. So I think I ripped it off from, I think at Opus 60 something, I forget. Been a long time. There were 2 of them. If you know the Opus number, let me know. It's great. There are 2 etudes, and the first one's slow, and then the second one's really whipping, and it was the second one. And then this kind of 1, 2, 4, 6 I've done, which is skip a string, skip another string. So the chord book really, in a sense, is just working out where the chords are on those string families. Only, but from a four note voicing perspective, strictly just in this first part. There'll be a second book at some point. A while, maybe a while. It's going to take me a while to get the first one out and all that kind of stuff. But the idea really is rather simple. It's just finding the voicings on the string families rather than doing it by interval. In other words, in other words, let me see if I can explain it this way. Finding what's available. And I found, like, as a player, I mean, everybody out here gigs, been gigging and all this kind of stuff. And I just, just from trying to find different sounds, but quickly. So I took the theory part out of it, really. I mean, it interjects itself back in, but to me, like for instance, a C major, it breaks itself down in major 7, minor 7, dominant 7, and then a dominant 7, sharp 11, and a dominant 7 with two different types of alterations of the ninth and fifth, and then the diminished and whole tone stuff. And there'll be a 6-tone symmetrical 1, 2 as well. But in the basic sounds for like major and minor, being able to get to the things quickly. And I found that if I did it for me anyway, I mean, I can't do the theory part of it that quickly. I mean, I just can't do it. So I found that if I stuck to 4-note voicings, which seemed to be the norm, like, when they give you these, these moving up inversions, if bigger chords were just additions to that, if that makes any sense. So, this chord is just this with an added, A or in the bass or whatever it is, rather than looking at it from bottom to top or whatever. You're just getting extra notes that you can grip with that grip. That's all. So that's all this thing is about. It's like finding the chords, on the guitar only via string family. Rather, hey, George, what's going on? Good to see you. So that's all it is. I mean, somebody just sent me a Bill Connors album from like 8 or 9 years ago. My friend Dave was like, "Oh, you should check this out. It's an older album, and there's a tune on here." I mean, I'll just kind of share it, and I find that if you do these sorts of things with tunes, it's a lot better to apply the stuff immediately. And the first two changes, I mean, I'll play it, are like a C major. They're all major 7s and minor 7s. Makes it really easy. It's a C major 7 with a raised 4th or a sharp 11, going to an E major 7 with a raised 4th or a sharp 11. That's all it is. So, for instance, if I'll do the 1, 2, 4, and 5. So that's these two, and then these two. So I go top to bottom, all right, just like a set of strings. So if you go to the bottom of the neck and you go, oh, C major 7 with a sharp 11. So obviously you can see it on, in the videos, and I go through it pretty exhaustively, but like, that's nice. C, G, D, and F sharp, strictly string set. E, some of them are hard to finger, like this one, C, E, C, G, E, and F sharp, with an A up top, with the B, with the F sharp, get rid of the F sharp and make it a D, and do the same thing. There's so much, right, just in this area that does that chord, and I'm not using any doublings. So I'm not, for instance, that kind of thing I'm staying away from in the book. Doesn't mean you can't do it, obviously, but just for me. And then like for instance, and then just stay in that area and go, well, what can I get E major 7 that's close, voice leading? The other thing I like about this is this kind of thinking is that it gives me like visual voice leading. Like you're looking at the guitar and going, all right, okay, E right here, B, E, D sharp, and F sharp, and maybe with an A sharp. So it's like, kind of close. C, G, E, and A, and then contrary motion. Maybe the top voice goes from A to A sharp. and I can do it on the, you know what I mean? Like you can kind of look at it and do it rather than it being theoretical, rather than it all being here and work it out. You know, that's purely what this is. Just for me, it was like I just wanted to play different, more interesting voicings, not just for practical gigs. I mean, those voicings are kind of big and stretchy, but for my own music, that's all it is. It's in Dennis Sandoli's book, Guitar Lore. I think he outlines 8 or 9 of them and gives you the 4 basic inversions. But the fun starts when you get rid of the, to me, when you get rid of the root, third, fifth, and seventh thing. To me, that's where the great sounds are, rather than just the stock stuff. And there's nothing wrong with those. They're a place to start from. So that's all it is. So if I you know, like hang on a second, let me just share this this tune. Give me just a second. All right. Here we go. So you know, you just listen to this. E sharp 11, C sharp 11. Yeah, it's nice. Just go back to the intro again, or I'll just go in a little bit. So here it is again. So it's setting up C, E, C, E. You know, like even just taking that part of it and going, okay, let me just work out with that. Even just getting that together. So C, G, F sharp, and B to an A, and maybe an E major here, E, G sharp, D sharp, and A sharp. And I haven't left the strict string family thing just for the discipline of doing it. And you get nice sounds. I mean, it's a fifth, nice kind of fifth thing there. I mean, stuff you could do like an F sharp. You could keep maybe that. Get some inner voice motion. Watch, like here, C, F sharp, E, and B. It's a little stretchy, but just, and then this is E, F sharp, D sharp, and A. Or let it go to G sharp. It's easy to play E, F sharp, D sharp, and G sharp. And get the sharp 11. That's nice. And then maybe the next chord, C, A, F sharp, and B. And there's a C major right there. So that's C, B, excuse me, E, B, G, and C. It's an okay chord, but this is nice. I like this one. E, C, F sharp, and B. And then there's the nearest E. You get so much out of it. I mean, for me anyway, just confining yourself to the string groups and going, what's available in the area that sounds good to me? You know, like, I think that's cool. You get all that. That sounds really nice. I really like that. And then you can E, B, F sharp, and A sharp. The one that was down here is now here. Put a G, G, C, F sharp, and B. This can move, right? E, C sharp, A sharp, and D sharp. There's so much there. Or this thing, I used it here. So I you know, here now. So G, C, F sharp, and D. You know, and then use this one, you know, whatever. Here's G, C, B, and D. I get that F sharp. It's nice. G sharp, E, A sharp, and D sharp, and get that F sharp up top. If you want to do that, sorry. You can see B, C, A, and D. And now we're back. C, D, B, and E. And then the F sharp. That's kind of neat, you know? So whatever. And then you can hear all the stuff, you know, all the ideas you can get. And use a tune, you know, like even just the intro to that tune, and go, that works, that doesn't work, and make note of the voicings that you like. And then you can always add stuff in the middle. You know, for instance, you like this, you know, you want to grab the F sharp in there. But then that'll lead to another string group that I had done on the series too, which was 1, 3, 4, and 5. Yeah, that was it. 1, 3, 4, and 5. So I'll do that one in a sec. But even that's just one string family. But again, I'd marry it to a tune and keep it like a simple intro like that. But you can see how all the inner voice, you can really hear, I think, the inner voices really well. And it's funny because sometimes people go, why would you do that? It's dumb. You know, see, like, why would you do that? You could just do it here. The reason is I can go right to this, and I don't have to do all this. So even though there's a big payoff here, I kind of like, you know, I can get some inner voice motion that I can't with the, you know what I mean? I know it looks dumb, and it's like, why would you do that? And the other reason I might do that too is because I can move it. There's the C, and I just move 2, and I got E. I just move this, scooch that up. And you can get different ideas. You know what I mean? All these great voicings that might not be available. Ooh. Yeah, it's like a G sharp minor 9, right? G sharp, A sharp, F sharp, and B. Put the C sharp up. That's nice. So really great. That's great. And it just, I don't know, they look cumbersome, but I find just for me, it's actually easier. Hey, what's up, Matthew? Good to see you. So to me, I mean, like all the weird stretching and all just makes more sense because I can go places. I can do this, you know, let's see, again, in the tune. I'm just thinking about the intro to that tune. C major, sharp 11 to E major, sharp 11. And just, you know, here. And then, oh, I like that. It just makes sense. I mean, this is easy too. This is nice. E, G sharp, F sharp, and A sharp. And the notes you leave out, you know, like I might not want that big 690 thing. You know. A little easier. And again, I can see the voice motion because you can go, oh, G, C, F sharp, and B. The only difference between it and a major 7 on E is I just move these up. I plane those up a fourth. And you can, you know, pop your A sharp in the middle. And who knows? I mean, that could, you know, whatever. I mean, you could write something with that or whatever just by planing it and moving around and stuff. This is nice. That's cool too. E, C, I like this one a lot. E, C, G, and D. I like the 5th C on this family. Just move the 5ths up. down. Contrary motion. If you don't want to play, maybe put the ninth in the bass. That's nice. You get like an 11th chord there. That's kind of cool. F, B, E, and F, B, G sharp, and E. A little imitation in there. You can improvise it, You can include imitation and interesting inner voice motion stuff. Just comping. You're not doing anything bizarre. It's interesting. And I don't know about everybody else. When you play with keyboard players, they do that stuff and they're so good at it, obviously, because their instrument is superior to ours, but it makes just a ton of sense. And I found that if I did things sort of that way, it just helped me a bit to reconcile a lot of things, in terms of like harmony, inner voice motion, and even just writing stuff. You get all these voicings that you wouldn't have normally maybe gone to if you're just trying to do it straight away. I don't know. I mean, I found up to that point, I don't know about everybody here, but up to a point, I found, and this isn't being critical, it really isn't. I was buying tons of chord books because I wanted to learn chords. I wanted to be a good chord melody stylist. I had read, I don't know, I was like 17 or 16 or something. And I got all the George Van Epps books and they were interesting. And that kind of introduced me to you section off the strings into groups. Oh, that's interesting. I think he did like 5 of them or something. So I thought that was cool. And I liked he seemed to be working with independence of fingers and voices, which I found was really cool too. But I found a lot of chord stuff, the Ted Green stuff was amazing and all, but like for his book, it was really much more straight ahead jazz kind of stuff. And he had great examples, you play through the examples. They're gorgeous. There's some really great stuff. And he was an amazing player, really fine player, but I didn't find it systematic. Like it was like, oh, this is cool. Now what do I do with it? I don't, and it didn't sound contemporary, like Chick Corea, you know what I mean? Like it was more like chord melody style in an older harmonic format, which is nothing wrong with it. And you can do that with these too. And that's what I like about looking at it this way, is that to me, it doesn't dictate musical taste or style at all. It's just whatever you want to do with it. All your old favorites are going to be on there, and there's going to be a ton of other stuff. Like, here, let me, like, for instance, watch this. Let me just put on the tune again. There's another section which is minor chords, but I'll get back to the majors in a second. Let me put this on. It's interesting because Bill Connors kind of sounds like he got a hold of a Pat Martino album. I mean, like he broke out his Pat Martino albums for this. Let me just share this. It's nice playing. It's really good. Here we go. E, C, E, C. So watch this. Let's go into minor chords. It's called the C to E. This is A minor. 7. F minor 7. A. And then the G minor 7. So if you just took those, let's just take that. A minor to F minor, A minor to G minor. So same thing, and I'll just do a little bit of the intro with some of the other chord families too. Like for instance, I mean, it's obvious if you took the first, if you took the first part of that section and you did it on the top 4. We all know the top 4 ones. You don't have to do any movement. Here's A, C, D, and G, which comes from this. Everybody knows this chord. We all know this one: G, C, D, and A. But if you flip the outer 2 voices, which I go into a lot in the book, that does wonders. Even just taking what I would call voice exchange, which is an old old term, and that just means I've got a G and an A. Anywhere where there's a step, usually it could be bigger. But anytime I ever found a voicing and I was like, this is cool. Oh, I just, the outer two voicings are G and A. Oh, that's kind of interesting. And then it's really about the voice leading. That's really simple to do. And then, you can really get some nice inner voices. So this is A, C, D, and G. And you're not doing, especially if you're playing in a group and heavy piano left hand, 5-string bass, 6-string bass. There's a lot of low end bass drum, maybe horns, whatever. You go for those top 4, right? So there's so much here. Right? And then you can do the G here. And there's nothing to that. So G minor, that's kind of nice. A, D, F, and G. And then just flip your fingers around for A, C, D, and G. That's like an 11th, I guess, on F minor. A flat, B flat, E flat, and G. Put the C in if you want, or leave it out. It sounds nice. Real easy to play. If you want to get tricky, you can do A, D, E, and G. That sort of thing. And again, it came from this. It came from the Andy Summers chord, right? So if you take the Andy Summers chord and you flip it, you got that. And then you can add, all this. If you really want to get crunchy with it, if you can stretch it, get the A flat, D, E flat, and G, or get a B flat up top. That's kind of cool. And you can, like, listen to this: A, C, G, and B, and then it's kind of a minor 7 with a 13th or D. You know what I mean? It's just, you're not really thinking that. You're just like, oh wow. Within that family, the F minor Dorian, it's right. Nice sounds right there. And they sound great in an ensemble. Or you could do this. And there's so many options. And that's the idea behind the whole thing. Even that will sound nice. B flat, E flat, F, and A flat on the F minor. And then just move it down. A lot of times there are planing opportunities that we're not aware of if you're doing like the big chunky style stuff, which is great, but you can even mess with that. I mean, the whole thing really is just about finding what's in the area that sounds good, and then you can go back and chart it out theoretically. And especially with when it goes fast, or the chords change pretty quickly, there's not a lot of time to do, this kind of stuff. For me, anyway. I don't know about anybody here, but that's kind of how I look at it. It's just not a lot of time. I'd rather do something that's actually more economical. It might be a little stretchier, but it's easier to play with an ensemble and sounds better to me anyway. And I'd go through all the stations of doing it that way. So here's A minor, B, what is it? B, C, G, and what is this? D. And you can collapse to the Steely Dan chord, because that's right. Where is that? A flat, E flat, G, and what is that? B flat. Back to the A minor, and then G minor. And you can get a little fun stuff in here, like B flat, C, F, and A, and then just right, whatever. This is A, C, G, and B. And there's just, like I said, there's just so much going on in the different areas. And just move it up and then go, okay, what's the next thing? Good old fashioned A minor here. That sounds cool. Okay. And then I can, and plus it cements, what would you call it? I guess reductive thinking. This is A minor. This is A flat major. So the thirds motion, to get theoretical, A minor 7 family to F minor 7 family is almost a half step away rather than a major third or something, because you're really just going A minor and A flat major, right, with a D. And the G minor is up a half step. So instead of, like, watch, I'll go on 1, 3, 4, 5 string family. So I'm going to do like an A minor 7 right here. So this is A. I'll never get used to the camera, everybody. I'm sorry. A, C, G, and D. And then you can add whatever. You can do A, B, E, and G there. Flatten your finger. What does George Van Epps call that? The fifth finger principle, right? Where you kind of bend one finger and have it hit a couple of different frets or something. So I'll just take it from here. That's nice. Now, using that, you want to go to F minor. You don't have to do that. Just go to A flat. So you're A minor. Watch this. That sounds good. My guitar's a little out of tune. Watch this. A, C, G, and D. And then just move the A to A flat. And I move the D to F. And I can still use that D. Right? You can get the E. Now watch this. That's nice. B, C, G, and D. And then when I want to go to G minor 7, I go, oh, it's just B flat. It's a half. That sounds nice. B flat, C, F, and D. Ooh. A flat, right? F minor 6, 9. But you're not really thinking. I mean, I'm not. It is what it is. A, D, G, and F. And then to that, back to the A, C, G, and D, and then get the E in on the G minor. B flat, C, D. I mean, there's no movement, and the voicings are nice. They work. They work really well. And you're not doing a ton of work. That's all you're doing. Just, it's not a lot. Just, I mean, in essence, if you really wanted, that's a nice F minor 6, 9 sound. A flat, C, G, and D. Put the F back there if you want, and then you just move from one note. You want to like stretch people out a little bit, give them the F sharp because it's on A minor, and then just get the inner voice here. B flat, C for the G minor. That's nice. I put the G in the bass. B flat, C, F, and D, and then you can get this E. The C can move. You can even do fourth C time there, right? A, D, G, if you want to, right across. Right? You can do what you want to do with it. To me, the confining it is what makes you get different sounds. The other thing is this, and just I'll go into this string family for the intro. I'll go back to that C major to E, like real quickly. Like when I play those chords, and they have a certain kind of they have a certain sound to them acoustically. When you get to these, right? I mean, it's different. Now this is 2, 3, 5, 6. To me, it causes the guitar to behave completely differently acoustically by virtue of I changed the family of strings. So now all of a sudden it's thick. It's 5th C, but now it's darker and thicker. So you can really pick. I find acoustically you can suss out a group or a mix or something, or like a tune you want to write or something creative, and you can suss out pretty quickly like what the, pardon the exam, appropriate, if that means anything, kind of chords you would want to use. Like I like these. There's real thick. This is, so for instance, I'm on 2, 3, 5, 6. Now the regular, that's a very, by the way, that's a very old school guitar chord. You know, you get Mickey Roker's guitar, you know, I mean, that's Django, right? You know, like the C, G, E, and A, and you know, it's a very old school major 7 type chord. But I like it better if you take the E to F sharp. Then it sounds hip. That sounds really cool. Or take the B to A. Like that's a real thick E major 7 sharp 11, B, E, D sharp, G, and A sharp. And you got all this right there. Now watch. Then you can move the middle voices. So watch this, B, E, D sharp, and F sharp. And then just move this E, kick it to G sharp, and move the D sharp to E. And it changes. You can match them. C, E, D, and F sharp. And just by switching the one finger, this goes from the E string to the D string. And you got B, E, D sharp. And what is it? F sharp. And then if you want to get tricky, you know, you can get an extra, you know, you can switch family, you know what I mean? Like you can grab it up here or whatever it is, A sharp up there. But you can hear that that's completely different acoustically. And I'd go through the whole thing and just go, all right, let me take this Bill Connors thing and let me just play the intro again. Sorry, just so we can get it into our skulls. I'd never heard this album before. Did anybody ever hear this? I like Bill Connors. I've never heard this. It's called On the Edge. But I'll just go back to this beginning thing. The keyboard player I like. If anybody knows who Bill Connell is, if you can give me a little more. Let me go into like the keyboard. Yeah, really nice player. A nice player. So yeah. So even just with the introduction, there's so much here. I'll just do 2, 3, 5, and 6. C major 7, whatever. Now here's the G, C, and they're really far down. G, C, B, and E. That's pretty far. And watch. This is kind of neat. Just kind of moving that down. You get the sharp 11 with the F sharp. Just let go of that and get an E. You've got the exact same. It's the same thing here. I mean, to go back, C major 7, G, C, D, and B, and then doing, you know, this A minor shape that we did, this A. If you just move it there, it's an E major 7. Reach back and get the A sharp. And again, as an improviser, then you can be like, oh, that's a half step relationship too. Like I can clock that G sharp minor before I go into the A minor 7. Yeah, they're the same animal. Same here. That's really thick. You hear how thick that is. This is a bit stretchy, but you don't really need that. But watch. This is kind of nice. G sharp, E, B, and D sharp with an F sharp on top. And then, what is this? C, E, B, and F sharp. That's really cool. hear all those really nice sounds, you can maybe make an exercise of trying to keep that pedal point, that F sharp going, you know. Whatever. And then it moves up, and you just move them up. And there's so much there. There's a lot to fish through. Any thoughts on any of this? I mean, it's about, you know the scales. It's just about finding, again, what can I do that sounds like C major 7 right in this area? C, G, D, A, get back to the F sharp. I like that. And then just move that up and maybe put the E in the bass here or whatever. And then doing it, like I said, do it that way. This is nice. E, C, G, and B. And then E, B, A sharp, and D sharp. Yeah, great. No, it's great, Tim. Thank you. That's all it is. I mean, it's not to say that every one of these voicings is going to sound magnificent in that context or in this context. But to me, for like, and by the way, for your fretting hand, great for your technique. I don't know about, great meditative. Yeah. I don't know about everybody here, but I find once I get warmed up with the chords, you're kind of limber for playing lines or something, you just kind of stretched out a little bit gently, obviously, and don't do anything ridiculous. But there's so much. It helps you learn a tune too, because you can really stick a tune under a microscope and just go, oh, there's, oh yeah, this is cool. That's nice. Yeah, after the chording, right? Yeah, your lines kind of get. Yeah, I'm the same way. I like playing the chords. And you can play it out of time too, and just kind of find some melodies. Get on each string. Obviously, each chord will have a different physicality. Maybe. That's nice. C, F sharp, D, and A, and then the middle, and then this. So much can move, and all we're doing is thinking about it in a comping context here. I mean, it's not even talking about whatever, lines or composing or any stuff, writing tunes. That's a whole different thing. But you get all these shapes, and I have to use pick and fingers for a lot of this. But I use pick style too. I don't know about everybody here, but I use pick style with a lot of those too. If I want to pick them in a figuration or something like that, then it's great for solo guitar too. You get thick sounds, really thick kind of chord sounds. Plus you get any melody note, if you think about it, it's like, oh, C major. Okay. C, D on top, D on top. Here's an F sharp on top. I've got voicings that have an F sharp, Oh, cool. Got a bunch of them. Oh, I got a G, voicing with a G on top. That's fine. I got a voicing with an A on top. Does that make sense? B on top, every melody tone in all the voices is available. It enables you, aside from just the basic inversions, and then just kind of, messing with that. I tried it with Dennis's devices. Yeah, then their melody is given. Any comments on good counterpoint with staying on one string when the given melody skips? Let me see. You get good counterpoint while staying on one string, right, when the given melody skips. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just really contrary. I mean, for me, I don't know about you, but any kind of contrary motion I get my hands on is normally what I like to do with these kinds of things. Especially within chord shapes, or switches or something like that. I like that. Yeah, it's a really good point. Like if the melody is going one place, the chord goes the other, like the C to E tends to want to go up in our ears, I guess. It wants to go up, sounds like that. And that's why I was, go the other way, that's that sort of sound. And then, going the opposite direction. Yeah, if you got one at a time, it's fine. Just take one at a time. I do. I must admit, Stefan, I like jumping too much. I like them when they all fly around and you get a dirty look from the the keyboard player. But yeah, I mean, it's really a matter of, like I said, going in an opposite direction. With this kind of stuff, I normally don't have doublings. You could, by the way, when the melody jumps in fourths and fifths. Yeah. That's when, in a sense, that's a good opportunity to do the family switch, because it's, if it's here, you definitely get contrary motion, and then you get stuff going up and then other stuff coming back down, which is cool. You go from, in my opinion, I like that. So yeah, you go from like C, E, B, and F sharp, and then I want this voice to come down, but I want, like you were saying, melody note to kind of go. That's nice. G sharp, F sharp, E, and B. My E went to the F sharp. My F sharp went to D. Normally, I don't like a false relation of the octave like that, but I kind of work with it in this case. You know what I mean? Like sometimes I don't do that because I'm like, it's kind of a false relation of the octave. I really shouldn't do. I really shouldn't do that. And I usually, I just go with it in that sense. But it's a good question, and I think that's where working on the different chord sets in conjunction with each other, I think, is really a good idea. That way you can kind of see which voices move where, and you can really hear them. What I like is the space on them, because then you can, from this, and there's a lot of space, C, D, A, and E, there's a lot there. And then, moving to this, I mean, you can definitely hear the chord go up, and the top, like you were saying, top melody goes down because I switched. There. Voice exchange. And maybe get the A, get a B, and then cause the G goes to A. And then the top voice goes up, and then the middle voice does this Max Rieger thing where you go. Goes like that. So yeah, I'm all about that. The B stays the same. It's kind of like B and E kind of stay where they are, and then the other two voices pull themselves apart like that. And that's my thinking on that in terms of like practicing it, getting those things. But I'd get a tune, like I said, that's a real easy tune. It's pretty basic, and there's so much you can do with it. A minor. There's an A minor, and there's like an F, so it can go up, or it can go to this, and then to an A minor. This is what is it? C, F, B flat, and E flat and A flat. It's an F minor, and then going to a G minor, B, F, B flat, F, C, and E. And there's a part that goes really quickly, like A minor, G minor, and then he just moves it up a semitone. Let me see if I can find it. And those parts are really tough. Like, here, hang on a second. It's a real pain in the neck. It goes by quickly. Hang on a second. A minor to G minor. So you can kind of thwart it. A, C, I'm on 2, 3, 5, 6. A, C, God, what is it? B and D. And then this is G, C, G, D, B flat, and F. And you can repeat the process here. B flat, D flat, C, and E flat. A flat, E flat, D flat, and G flat. Then to an E flat minor 11, you just simply, this part just moves up with the Scriabin chord. So B flat, E flat, D flat, and G flat. So then it goes to the sharp, again, a sharp 11 on E flat. So it's just B flat, E flat, D flat, and G flat with an A flat up top. B flat, E flat, F, and A. And then you're ready to go into the next. And that way you can engineer those things. You can mix them in with like the standard voicings. So, you know, it can go, for instance, this is a great, these top ones are a great place to talk about that. So A minor to G minor, that's all you do. A, C, D, and G, and then switch. This C is going to go down to B flat. The D will go up to F. The bottom two voices stay put. You want to go to a B flat minor quick. Okay, move the whole thing up. Right, so you got that. And then watch this. Plain. This C goes down to B. Really nice. G flat minor 11. And it didn't take that much. You know, it was just kind of. You know, and then back to the top of the to the top of the tune. That's really easy. So, and then an A, and then this thing. And on the top family, this E flat minor 11 or sussy, whatever it is. Watch this: E flat, B flat, A flat, and D flat, and then just simply move the top two. That's the only difference between the chords. You can see it. E flat, sharp 11. Just do it here. If you really want thick, B on the lower four, B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat, and then just move the A flat and D flat to A and D, and it's a sharp 11. You can put a top voice peeking out if you want it thick. Does that make sense? It's so easy. I mean, you know, instead of going, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I just never like, it's never like playing chords like that. It just sounded really goofy to me. I don't know. I just don't like that sound. So the more contrary motion for me anyway, that I can get, and more inner voice motion and different kind of interesting or whatever interesting voice leading that you can get, to me, it takes a little work to work it. You know, you have to sit with the instrument for a little bit, but you can get some great stuff. I mean, you can really get some, like I said, and that's easy to play. You know, A flat, here's A minor. I took this voicing, or how about the regular voicing? B, C, E, and A. Even that sounds cool because the E goes to F, the B goes to B flat, and then you can go. So and if you want to do the full thing, you can do that. That sounds cool too. That's a flat minor, right? So again, B major or whatever it is, B major. So I like this one. I like the fourth. It's easier to play. I love that. You know, there's some little motion going on, and it's easier to play. And if you like the big thick chords, you can mix these. You know, like that's nice too. So this is, you know, A, C, B, and D, and then I'm on the 2, 3, 5, 6, and then I do a contrary to G minor, G, D, B flat, and F. Just to change it up and make that go to C, and say I just want to grab that and move it. Well, maybe not. Screw that. I won't do that. I'll do the same thing. I'll sequence it. B flat minor. It's very thick. B flat, D flat, C, and E flat. And then I'll go to my old friend. I'll keep that E flat. Like that. You know, or you can sequence it. Or whatever it is. Whatever it is. And then back to the beginning. And you're here, and it takes you nothing to go to there and get back to the beginning of the tune. It's a little bit of thinking, I think, to make your life a little easier, but it does require some thinking about it. I don't know. I mean, that's just for me what the book is. There's no real secrets or anything. And like I said, these are just majors and minors. You know, I didn't want to even go near the dominants and all that kind of stuff today, because I think it's about acoustics, about voice motion and acoustics as much as it is the other stuff. I don't know. Any thoughts on this? Well, it's just kind of my take on it. I love all those different sounds, and they sound great on acoustic guitar too. You can really get some beautiful, beautiful sounds, I guess. That's a beautiful chord, you know. 2, 3, 5, 6 can do everything. Watch. C, F sharp, D, and E. That's great. And it can kind of fold into this. Get the E. C, A, F sharp, and G. I mean, that just sounds really nice. Love the sounds in the inner voice, right? Yeah. C, E, B, and F sharp. Hey, Ken. You know what I mean? It's just... it just really, you know, has a nice, really great sound. Really nice. Oh, you poor. Oh, man. You tuned it in fourths. Oh, jeez. That's so much more logical. I have no idea. I stink at that. But try to work them out in fourths. I mean, your fingerings will obviously be different, but at the same time, it affords you a nice bit of, you know, the creative aspect, coming up with the different kind of fingerings. It'll probably make a lot of them easier, you know. Yeah, that's really nice. And this is just watch this: E, C, D, G, and B. You just plain. It's really nice. Yep, that's the Max Rieger thing. Add a C sharp in there, G sharp, you know, G, C, B, and E to D. Yeah, Ken. Yeah, we spoke about that. G sharp, E, B, and D sharp, and they get a C sharp in. So you've got this. That's kind of neat. And and then B. Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah. Any thoughts on, I mean, on any of this? That's really what the book is. It's simply parsing out the guitar according to string set so that you can see where the chords are, and you have the restriction of the string family in a sense. Oh, I should mention one thing. I know this is self-evident and kind of stupid, but at the same time, I think it merits mentioning. And that's generally, for me, I only have three different ways of doing the Chris Gordon. When you're running chord ideas, you think of the notes and the chords in real time. Kind of, yeah. 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 And it depends upon, I mean, for me, what the bass player and the keyboard or whatever. If there's no bass player or keyboard, if it's like, excuse me, if there's no keyboard player, like I usually listen to a keyboard player and suss off of that. Yeah, it's all about that. Definitely. Yeah, definitely. Where are the notes and what, and you can hear what what they're going to sound like. That's the cool part. You can kind of, when you do the voice motion, you can kind of smell and hear what they're going to sound like. For me, there's only three ways that I know. I mean, just for me, I keep it basic. Chords that go in this direction. I mention them on the videos. The ones that go this way, down, or they usually include like a first finger. I'm just making generalizations, and then you kind of move your way back up. So, for instance, on a C major chord, I'll just make it up. C, G, F sharp, and B. Move the top to A. You kind of worm your way down a little bit. They're kind of going across the guitar now, so you're kind of choking it off. So where they're going across, straight across like this. Get a couple moves, but don't know where to go in a compositional sense. Yeah. Well, hang on. I'll get into that in a sense in a second. And then the ones that just start to go this way, they start to be more of the cluster ones, And then they start, so geographically they're going this way now, and you're leaning more towards your third and fourth finger. I like this one. It's not a part of the family, but yeah, definitely. C, E, B, and D sharp, the major seven of the sharp nine. It's a great sound. It's like we couldn't decide between C major seven and E major seven, so we had both. But that's it for me. They go this way. They kind of go south, across, and then north. That's it. Just for me to visualize the chords. Yeah, but yeah, in real time. Yeah, yeah. Centralization of voicing, and then intermotion direct. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Some voicings sound bad to me. I don't, I'm not into like mathematically figuring them out. That works for a lot of people. Not for me. I just wanted kind of voicings that I would want to write with pretty quickly and play with. But you can do that. You can go bananas with this and do it mathematically. Certainly. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, to me, it's a matter of what you can grab. It's funny because I saw a Joe Pass video one time and he was like, yeah, just grab it and keep it simple and grab whatever you can. I think there's a lot of merit. There's a lot of merit to that. Even if you're stretched out, it's like, what's the next chord? F minor. Quick, find something. Okay, that'll work. G minor. That'll work. A minor. That works. F minor. It's only one note, A minor, G minor, where it can work and it can sound musical. A minor, F minor, A minor. If I kept going up, A minor, and then what is it? G minor, A minor. So A minor there, or whatever it is. F minor, A minor, whatever. Yeah, whereas central, yeah, it's it. And then you can sort of figure it out from there. I don't use doublings for these. Although it's interesting with what Stefan said earlier, you could get really cool with that with the voice motion, and you start to look at it more in terms of strict voice leading, then it'll lead you to some interesting doublings that occur because of really good voice leading and motion principles. For these, I just don't, I just keep them all for discrete tones, different tones. Yeah, with all those chords you're playing. Yeah, now you can hear it too. That's the other thing. Yes. I don't know. Again, I don't know about everybody here, but I came to a point. I don't know. I guess it was in the. Let me see. Sounds like an endless possibility. Just major minor. Yeah, the dominant ones do. Yeah, maybe I'll do that on the next one. Just kind of really hone in on dominant chords. Yeah, they do. They do. Yeah, it gets kind of silly. I should mention this before I go into with the chords you just played. You can use open strings. Yes. That's right. And you don't need to, like I said, there's the F minor. You get all this, all these F minors are nice. They're all there. Yeah, it's nice. Sorry, I'm out of tune down there big time. Also, the nut sticks up and then I bend the note. I don't know. I hate that. And then you bend the note and it's out of tune because the nut is real tight there. In the book itself or in the videos, it discusses the different aspects of the voice motion, voice exchange, string transference, which is an obvious one. For example, this chord on the top four, if it's an A minor or whatever, C major or whatever it is, you just bring, for instance, in this case, it would take it from 1, 2, 3, 4, and you bring whatever's on the 6 to the first. I mean, like singing the roots when you figure out the voicings. That's exactly what I would. Yeah, you're humming it and you're singing it. I would hum or sing the thing with either a syllable or just hum the thing and get that to and then, by the way, it gets your humming and singing in, because if your guitar is intonated, you can kind of balance that, which is cool. And you can hear the relationship between exactly what you're playing to the root. And again, especially with the top ones that we're talking about, where it can get nebulous because you got all these high notes and they're 4 different notes, and one of them might not be the root. Like that's not, A flat, B flat, E flat, and G. And you're going, it's an F minor 7. You have to be able to, get that, or tight, like there. And that's, by the way, that's also why I like playing these kind of voicings, because I can always reach back and get a root too, That's nice. You can get it even if it's up high and sing it. Yeah, and then sing all the inner voices. What's nice is these things are so broad, you can really and you really get this. You can really hear all the inner voices. But in terms of composition, that's what I wanted to say. For me, playing trio was the scariest thing. So I made a trio, and then I made it so that I had to write for the trio. And I think that was the other reason I felt that I better come up with something for chords, something that's like organized, that can do pretty much what I needed to do for writing. Because again, I mean, I just, there's nothing wrong with this. It just didn't sound like what I wanted it to sound, the chords that I wanted, And to me, nobody should be stuck with that. The inversions are great. They're only like the root, third, fifth, and sevenths, and there's so much there. Even from this, like I said, you take this thing, add this, add the D, add the C, add the F sharp. All of a sudden the thing melts, and it's like, oh, okay. There you go. It's going backwards now. Oh, wow. And even if it's you're like, okay, even if it's that, and you go, you wouldn't have perhaps without doing something like this, you wouldn't have heard that chord change. Maybe you're like, oh, it's an A minor and then it's to a B flat or a D flat major. Whatever whatever you want to call it. You might sometimes it's just good to, oh, what happens when I move it up? Oh, okay, now it's A minor, B minor. Oh, that's kind of cool. And you might not have come up with that without doing the shapy work, and getting some voice, whatever it is. Like that's a B major. You wouldn't have come up with that maybe if you're just if all your shapes are this, if there's nothing wrong with those. But again, without experimenting, you don't really get it. And the big thing for me, just in closing, well, not in closing. The other thing, I don't know about anybody here. I like planing voicings, but that didn't sort of work either. Are you using some effects on the guitar? Yeah, there's a cheesy little I'm going through a Black Star amp. There's a cheesy little imitation of a tape delay that I have going, and that might cause it to modulate a little bit. The other thing is moving chords up a scale didn't work for me. I tried that. I like some of that, but it just gave me different variations of one voicing that I liked, but I found that I couldn't transfer it to other kinds of music, if that makes any sense, because that's kind of in a scale or something, and it sounds cool, and it's good for that application, and a lot of people find that. And I in the book, there's a lot of planing opportunities, and obviously for diminished, there's all these, planing, whatever it is. There's things you can plane, and that's great, but I didn't find it helped my writing, and I found that I couldn't transfer it. In other words, I couldn't go on a gig and check out a chord chart, and that didn't help me any. I felt, for me, I needed like the chord sound first, and then I could do the planing second, rather than going flat, 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 flat. Like it was like, oh, okay, this is all in A flat scale. Okay, it's cool, and maybe I could take that voicing and put it somewhere or whatever. But I found it being more direct about the chord sound of the chord itself was more helpful for me. Nice tone. It growls. It does. It starts to crap out. I found that as well, especially with chart. Exactly. And I wanted to do this with charts. I wanted to learn all my chords and then get them to be able to go out and play them on a tune or something. And if it stunk, I'd be like, okay, don't use those kind of chords on that kind of tune, or, whatever it is. But, I found that certain approaches, I'm not knocking them. I just found that for me, it was about getting them into my playing and having them become like stuff to write with and stuff that you could play. It was internal. In other words, it wasn't like, oh, for this kind of music, I play that, and then I shut all that off. And unless you're on a job where you got to go boom boom, it's like, well, you got to do that. You have to play that vocabulary. But even these kind of things sounded, they worked. I mean, there were certain instances where, like, yeah, it kind of sounds like that old, like an old fashioned, kind of really old fashioned, whatever. It worked, certain voicings. But yeah, I found that they don't become internalized until you really start putting them into things. And that's why I put the tune up. I'm like, let's put this stuff into a song right away. And we can throw out what we don't like, and certain things we can go, okay, note to self. That's a cool shape or chord or whatever it is. For me, I don't like random chord stuff. And all the guitar books up to that point they're amazing ones, but I found it unsystemized. Like, here's a great voicing for a 9, great. What do I cares? What do I do with it? I can't do anything with it. It's dead stuff. It just was like, oh, this is a cool, and you would plug it in. It's like, yeah, it does sound remarkable, but it just didn't have a system to it. It didn't have something, not to do things cold, but just to find things. And I found I found a lot more, and I validated a lot more. Like I said, with some of these, these voicing, I'm like, oh, it's in Scriabin, this thing, this. I found that in a Weber and string quartet. I'm like, oh, this is great. It must mean I'm on the right track. These great composers are, they're doing this in this. I'm hearing that sound, and I'm seeing it written in a Weber and string quartet. So I must be on the right path. Uh, that's it for me. I just that is it gives me a system to do, and I can then go up and down the guitar, and then I can go, okay, whatever. But if you do it with tunes, writing's a different thing. I mean, that would be a different conversation altogether. And I guess that, that's all in what you want to hear. And I found these chords for me were what I wanted to hear and do. And it was kind of the thing that kind of unlocked writing on the guitar for me. Because I kind of wrote it enabled me to do it. Because before that, it was like, oh, you have to overdub everything. You got to go play your rhythm part, and then you got to overdub it with your lead part and all. And I just wanted to do it all at once. So kind of like, full trio rather than, I depend on overdubs or something like that. You could just play gigs and it would sound fuller, and it would be because the tune is your composition, that's basically it. Yeah, it works well. Yeah, like Chris, like you're saying, man, it works with charts and stuff. Yeah, and you can try different things. Again, there's so many things, and I think it unlocks a lot for me. A lot of the improvisational, tricky stuff. Again, from that C major 7, G, C, F sharp, and D. I'm on 1, 3, 4, 5. And then right there, it's like, oh, okay, that's only a semitone. Oh, cool. Oh, it's a semitone backwards. So it's a semitone forwards, C. So G, C, F sharp, and D. And then if I plane that up to G sharp, G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, and D sharp, and I add the E in between, and then it's B, C, G, and D, and move it down a semitone. So two chords that are a third apart are not necessarily a third apart. They're a semitone apart, going up and going down due to voice leading, and to getting that on the guitar. Like you can hear it. I mean, just this going to this, going downwards, going in contrary motion. That for me helped the line construction thing too, because then I would start to play that and go, oh, okay, the chord goes up from C, and then I want to go to E. Well, I'm going to go down because there are certain things, the voice leading. And to me, lines are voice leading. That's all. I know technically a lot of these things are real stretchy. So I would say, stick with the easier forms that you like. And if you don't like something, one thing I will say, this chord I like. It's okay. I'm not a huge fan of it. E, B, G, and C. I think it's kind of, it's okay. But in a tune like this, I would suggest if you don't like a voicing, go and do the voice exchange. Because I'm like, oh, that's a little nicer. So I usually pry the voices out for the bigger, because this has a minor 9 and this is a major 7. So sometimes that's a little more desirable. And then let go of the F sharp, if that makes sense. So if something's a little biting, but at the same time, don't give up on those sounds. Like on the top 4, what is it? Hang on a second. Sorry. It just here, yeah. Like this, I like B, E, C, and D. So it's kind of like A minor or a C major. That's kind of nice, and you got that dissonant thing. That sounds okay. I kind of like that. It doesn't mean that every time you have a dissonant interval, get rid of it. But I'm just saying sometimes, if, like for instance, this, people go through the inversions. They go, oh, sharp, okay, a flat 5. So they go, okay, here's my C major 7. Here it is with a flat 5. Oh man, that sucks. Well, flip the B and the C, and now it sounds cool. Now it works. Now you're like, okay, yeah, that might be a little. This is, don't throw that out, but at the same time, that's all. See if you can work with the voicing and pry it open with voice exchange or something like that if it's possible. Okay. Any thoughts? It'd be cool to do dominant chords the next time, but I mean, there's just so much you can do with. Again, that's just the families that I had started with. I think what's up on the videos is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 1, 3, 4, 5. And I didn't really cover too much of that 1, 3, 4, 5, but that's great. I mean, just listen to that. C major to E, C, E, B, F sharp, and then flip your fingers. B, E, F sharp, and B, E, A sharp, and F sharp. Really nice. That's great. That's a great sound. So it sounds great. And then here, E, A sharp, B, and G sharp. And you can release the A sharp to F sharp. Really nice. Easy to finger. Really great sounds. That's just really cool. It sounds great. E, A sharp, F sharp, and D sharp. Going to C sharp. That's it. And it'll work well with learning the neck because you won't have a choice. There's no choice. You have to sit and go, wait a minute, this sounds cool. And how do I get to the next chord? Don't kill yourself, That's nice, even just that. C major, G, C, D, and B, and then just checking. The chord book is all covered in the video series, not a physical book. Yes, not yet. I have seen some, but want to check out more cool ideas. Thank you. Yeah, Tim, check it out. Great. It's not a physical book yet, but at some point it will be. And it'll have everything. I'll probably add some stuff in the physical one, maybe. It's just so much work. I never got around to doing this. And I think I was telling Chris a while ago, when I was studying with Dennis Sandoli, I remember him keep telling me, you should do this chord. You should do the chord book. You should really work on this chord book. How's the chord book coming, Scott? I gotta be like maestro, I'm doing all, and I was doing tons of stuff for him. And I was writing tunes for albums and, doing a lot of gigging and all. And it's like, maestro, I'm working on it. And I would play him little bits and pieces of things. And then he passed away, and I kind of put it out. He passed away in 2000. I kind of put it away. I just kind of did what I did. And, I had been formulating this, whatever. It's not like I invented it. It's been around, but I just kind of brought it to its, I guess, some kind of a conclusion for me. I didn't do anything with it until 2000 and, what is it? 2022. And I was in the hospital, and I was very frightened because I'm like, wow, I almost died. Okay. That was a close one. And then something in my head was like, maybe I should do that chord book. Maybe I should actually start to at least not write it down, do something with it. But I figured the videos would be more personal and just show me kind of playing them and working with some, like being in touch with people, and they interact with me, I interact with them kind of thing, rather than writing. I didn't want it to be like, oh, look, I didn't want it to come off like, oh, look, I wrote out 1 million chords without demonstrating it and going like, well, here are the actual, here's the stuff is here, It's living, breathing stuff. It's not, it's not just somebody going, oh, here's some chords. I saw on Amazon, I don't know who the videos are. Thank you. I saw on Amazon, there was somebody that put that up, and I'm like, I would just, that's a drag. Even if there were some good chords in there, there's 4 million chords, and it just looks like somebody dumped a bunch of chords without any context to it. And I just didn't want to do that. Really quickly, before we sign off, I want, just because I really hammered that, I should say this, and I said it it's in the introduction videos. There's like three or four of them that are introduction. One of them is a dedication to Tom Giacobetti, who, if you never heard him, he was an amazing guitar player, and his wife Pat were so good to me. They were really amazing people. What a guitarist. And Dennis and Sonny Troy, who was somebody I knew, who was an amazing guitarist, two great jazz guitarists. His son, Tom Gagliardi, is really good to my. He's always plays my music and always has done since the 90s when I was with different bands like Phineas Gage and the Hand Farm stuff and all the albums. He really supported my stuff. And then Randy Sandman, who passed away recently, who's got me playing guitar in the first case. I do majors and minors and dominants. So here's the deal. Because the first thing people say is they go, well, wait a minute, where's the minor flat 5? Where is the major 7 with a flat 5? Where's the major 7 with a sharp 5? Like all that stuff. Like, where's major 7 with a sharp 5? And these are all legitimate. Like, where is that stuff? Minor flat 5, that's common. It's in the dominant ones. And to make it simple, for me anyway, I only draw on, I think, a couple different scales, a major scale and a melodic minor scale for the chords. So the other stuff you fill in, obviously, but in other words, major 7 type chords have a raised 11. They're kind of a 4 on a 4 of a major scale, right? Minor 7 are on the 2. Those are the 2, right? Minor 7. 5 is the dominant. Dominant with a sharp 11 is now melodic minor. It's not an alteration of the other one. It's melodic minor. It's on the, what is it, everybody? 4. Right? 4 of a melodic minor. And then the double alteration is up a tritone from that. It's on the 7 of the melodic minor. So the easy part is any voicings you get for the 4, if you move them up a tritone, they sound, they're the 7, they're the double alteration, right? But that's where the minor 7 flat 5s are. They're in the dominant. So they're in the regular dominant, they're in the sharp 11 dominant, and they're in the double alteration dominant. Major 7 sharp 5 is in the melodic minor one. So it's the sharp 11 dominant and the other one with the double alterations. That's where those are. And the other stuff from the diminished scale, all the diminished scale forms are in there. And those include, in the video, even minor 7s, because minor 7th chords are a part of that sound. And I think a lot of people miss that. Like, like for instance, C minor, watch, a sequence in minor 7s is all diminished scale too. That's why half step works when you're playing a minor 7 down. B flat, E flat, C and G. I'm just doing move it down a minor 3rd. Anything to make it sound, what was that Chick Corea album? The Leprechaun? I used to wear that. I had that on cassette. Everything was, until I got into the string family. He's like, oh, that son of a gun. That's how the guy does it. So just moving this down. A, F sharp, E flat, and then resolve to a D minor. And that's a contrary motion. It doesn't sound like this. It doesn't sound like, I hate that sound. So they're a part of the diminished as the diminished major 7 kind of chords, the dominant chords, cycles, they're all in there, but they're in with these chord families. So all the voicings will come from the set of strings. Okay. If that makes any sense. Any questions? So if you're looking, so sorry, if you're looking for minor flat 5 and all that, just take the forms from the others, you know what I mean? And you'll find them. Um, yeah, just grab major 7 sharp 5, the same thing. To me, I don't categorize them as a major 7 chord and then you raise the 5th. I go to the dominant because I don't know, that's mostly how I use those anyway. They're standalones, but to me they have some kind of a dominant sound to them usually. Okay. Anything. It's a very cheap microphone, but it actually sounds okay, I think. All right, and this will be posted. This stream. We're going to be doing something with Chris in the near future. We just had to work out the tech thing, so we'll do something. If Chris is up for it, I wanted to do it with Chris on this one, but it's just a lot of technical hooing and a skooing really on this one. So the next time around, we'll do it. Chris and I will do it together. Yeah, it'd be really good. Any thoughts? Anything? I'll let everybody go because it's really nice out in Brighton. It's 6:30 in the evening and it's beautiful out. Everybody's down from London, so everybody's crapping the place up, So sorry, Londoners. Any Londoners watching, right? Looking forward. Oh, great. With Chris as well, of course. It's going to be good. I like to see it, try to see on the neck the different shapes. That's it. No, I appreciate it, Mike. And thanks so much for writing me and helping me out with the tech stuff, man. It was really nice of you to do. So let's keep in touch. No doubt about it. But yeah, Ken, it's good you talk about the chord shapes. There's no harm in going, I like that. Note to self. Move it into different keys, etc. Plug it into tunes. And it's funny because even just taking that tune, again, just real quick before I go, even with just the voice leading and you go like this and you're like, oh, that's kind of a cool move. Actually, I kind of like that. Oh, well, hey man, maybe that's a tune. A minor, G minor, F minor, or whatever. And then you're like, wow, let me move it around a little bit. It's all right. You know what I mean? And then you can sort of go, oh, that's kind of nice. Maybe if I'm, oh, that's nice. And that's a part of a tune. There's no harm in doing that, in my opinion. I mean, if you like a few shapes and they sound good together, there's usually a reason why with the inner voices. And, there's some kind of usual voice leading, for me anyway, reason or rationale why you like that, why somebody likes that sort of thing. I don't think that's a bad thing. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you. I'll let you go. If you have any questions, just write me. I'm here. S. McGill Guitar at yahoo.com. So write me. And I look forward to the next one. It'll be me and Chris probably doing the next one. Everybody have a great evening. Absolutely. Everybody take care. I'll talk to you soon. Thank you for coming.